My career sucks.
Sex just isn't the same.
What's my purpose?
Where did this fat come from?
My relationship is killing me.
I'll never be happy.
My debt is piling up. I'll never find love. Why can't I be like other gay guys? Hey guys, it's time to get a grip, stop whining, make a bold move, and do something amazing with your 40-plus gay life. Let's get to the show with your Tell It Like It Is host, Rick Clemons, who does his best to never act like a dick or a diva unless you act like one first.
Hello, gentlemen. It is time for another episode of 40 Plus Gay Men Gay Talk. And just a quick reminder, don't forget to join our community in Facebook. And if you want to join our monthly chats, they happen the third Monday of every month pretty consistently. Sometimes they're off, but go to my website or go to Gay Men's Chat and you can find out all that information. But as long as we're talking about chatting, I am really excited to be chatting about National Coming Out Day, which is tomorrow, everyone. And it's an important piece of our history. It's an important part of us being who we are. Please go honor those that may be needing a little help. As we all know, don't force somebody to come out. But on National Coming Out Day, there's beautiful stories to be shared. And I was so excited when I had the opportunity to bring this guest on board today. His name is Brian Bond. Some of you might know that name. He is part of National PFLAG. He has been working with them for years. He's been fighting some fights with one of our favorite, little governors in Texas, Mr. Abbott. He's done some amazing work with the Obama and Biden administration. I'm going to let him kind of get into some of that with us. But the whole point of celebrating National Coming Out Day is to show the importance of our family, our history, our acceptance, to talk through some of the certain struggles that we have as aging gay men, whether it be HIV or substance abuse, but more than anything to say, hey, here's some resources. And as 40 plus guys, I think we owe it to others to let them know about resources like PFLAG. And I don't believe there's anybody better to talk about this than Brian. And thank you for being here, Brian. I'm so excited that you're here. We're actually recording this when you're going to be doing your national convention. So it's also started today. So I'm sure you're running around like crazy there in the future, but thanks for being here, buddy.
I'm happy to be with you, Rick. Thank you for having me. I'm Brian Bond, pronouncing him his, CEO here at PFLAG National, and happy National Coming Out Day, everyone.
Yeah, and happy, PFLAG convention. I know it's happening here in the future, but what was the thing that drew you most to wanting to be part of PFLAG and like kind of take the helm of this?
Sure. So it's kind of, it won't sound as great as it should. I'm of a certain age here, and the PFLAG position came up, and I thought, what could be more fun than getting to hang out for the remainder of my career with folks who love us. So that was 7 years ago. And then about a year into my job, the floor kind of fell out from under us when states started the attack on our community this year, with some 600 plus bad bills targeting the LGBTQ plus community, especially the trans community. But yeah, I was like, who wouldn't want to work at PFLAG? You have the most incredible parents, family members, allies, and LGBTQ plus people who really just want to make life a little better for folks.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really truly is what it is who wants to make life better for folks. And I already shared with Brian before we started how much of an impact PFLAG had in my world, more so from the camaraderie piece, because I was already started my practice as a coming out coach and gay life coach. But I attended a lot of meetings in Orange County, South Orange County, and then it helped launch my speaking career because I was speaking at college campuses on the PFLAG speakers bureaus, and just the opportunity to be in colleges and with sheriff's departments and some churches at times. It was such a beautiful thing because I think at the core of PFLAG, and I'd love to explore this a little bit with you, Brian, it is really about the importance of the family and the family acceptance and those challenges. And, kind of maybe take us a little bit through your coming out journey. And then I want you to tell the story that we were talking about before we started about what just happened with your own father's funeral. But like, how important was, you coming into family acceptance for you and your coming out journey?
So if I could take a step back just for some of your folks, if they aren't familiar with PFLAG, PFLAG's been around 52 years. It was started by a mom, a math teacher in Queens, who basically had enough. And she basically decided to get off the sidewalk and into the street and march with her kid, a gay son. And that kind of started a movement across the country. We have a mission of creating a more caring, just, and affirming world for LGBTQ plus people and those who love them. We have around 360, 370 chapters around the country. I know your folks won't be able to see this, but Rick, one of my nerd things that I do, my staff kind of roll their eyes. I carry this little folded up piece of paper with me every day, and it lists the new chapters that have
That's
started.
awesome.
And folks listening, you're hearing the visuals of me opening it up. But on this year alone, over 40 new chapters,
Wow.
and places like Jennings, Louisiana,
Hmm.
Floyd, Virginia. I mean, these are folks that are basically willing to come out, no pun, right?
Yeah,
And speak out for their kids. And most of these new chapters are in towns of under 50,000 people.
that's amazing.
Everybody knows them. They see these folks at the grocery store, at church, at mass, at whatever it may be, school, and all they are doing is trying to serve a mission of saying that their kid, their family, deserve to be treated the same as everyone else.
Well, and that's a big testament too, Brian, to especially living in the times we're living in, where there's so much coming back against us, as you already stated.
Yeah.
For I'm just going to go there, for people to have the cojones to, like, I don't care, we're going to do this, we're going to show up for our kids. And that was something that always really hit me. I mean, I remember sitting in PFLAG meetings, and the heart-wrenching stories and the fear that some parents had, and the, like, I'm still trying to figure this out and trying, but that's why I'm here, to try to help understand my kid and to help me understand myself. And I think that is one of the most beautiful thing that I have heard come out of any parent's mouth, is I'm willing to come in and try to understand. In fact, one of my favorite PFLAG parents that I got to speak with on panels was a parent of a transgender individual. And she said, my job isn't to understand. My job is to continue to be the parent and to love them. And I'll never forget.
That's a mic drop right there.
It is. And I remember the first time I got to speak with her on a panel, I had chills just now, right? I had chills, and you could see, and we were in a pretty good sized group. This was in a Temecula, California high school. Mm-hmm. So very much Trump country. I'm just going to go there. Okay.
Yep.
And when Christy said those words, you could see the tears on kids' faces, because even if those kids weren't somebody in our community, I could tell that some of those kids were like, I wish I had a parent like that. And I think that's the beauty. So I'm so glad you brought us back, because what was the founder's name? Gene
Manford.
Gene Manford. Hey, my 62-year-old brain remembered that one pretty well. I haven't said that name in a long time. But so thank you for bringing us to it. So let's kind of step into your own coming out story, and and then kind of come back to like something most recently that just happened.
Sure. So I grew up in rural Missouri, close to the Arkansas-Oklahoma border. I'm 63. So the thought of coming out was literally terrifying to me on so many levels. I showed cattle at the fairs, things like that. And one of the stories I often tell is, growing up, I was more, or my junior year, I guess it would be, I was more comfortable with my 2,000-pound steer, Rufus, that I showed at the fairs than I was with my peers in school. My coming out story, I don't know if I was brave or really wanting to come out or just really needing help, but
right.
I came out to my parish priest. Irish Catholic parish priest, who literally is maybe 5 foot tall, from Ireland, the whole bit. And I did it as a face-to-face confession when I was 15.
Wow.
And I said to him, I'm afraid I'm gonna go to hell, and I'm gonna lose my family. And I'm cracking up a little bit here when I just even talk about this. It's his response was, without missing a beat, his response was, and again, understand this is this 1970s, right?
Yes, exactly.
His response without missing a beat was, "You are not going to go to hell, but you're
Mm.
going to want to move because you're not going to be happy here."
Wow.
And there were still, and I didn't realize how big a blessing that was at the time because I was traumatized. I was one of those folks. I did sleep with a loaded pistol by my head a few
Mm.
times, asking God to fix it or end
Yep.
it,
Yep.
despite what the priest had said to me.
Mhm.
Well, long story short, I felt like I got my answer from God. I'm
Yeah,
still here. I'm still fighting. Still
absolutely.
kicking. But fast forward on that priest, I was this is again Southwest Missouri, Joplin area. I was in Springfield at one of our chapter meetings, and I told this story, and this gay guy came up to me and said, when I was looking for where to get my kids that he adopted baptized and what parish to go to. Apparently, my priest had moved to Springfield. I
Mm.
was told to go to this parish, that this priest would take care of you and your family.
Wow.
And so I thought, what an authentic person. And fast forward one more time. Sorry,
No,
I go down,
no.
I go down rabbit holes.
I love it.
When President Obama wrote his book, his memoirs,
Mm.
I didn't know I was in it, and so the book came out. And all of a sudden, I see a text on my phone, and it's from my former priest. He said, "I'm so proud of you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, Father?" And
Mm.
he sent me the two screenshots of the two pages where the president's talking about the work that I did on Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Mm.
And it just was I told that story to the White House at the time, and well, I told it to them previously, but they had helped me get that priest to the St. Patrick's Day event at the White House.
Oh, awesome.
And so I was showing him around the White House, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to pay it forward a little bit. And he quietly said to me, he said, "You know, I'm a U.S. citizen now." I said, "No, I didn't know that, Father." He goes, "My first vote was for President Obama in his second term."
Wow.
The whole story, I owe him so much. It could have gone so wrong. And I
Hmm.
know that's not the same journey that many folks have out
Yeah.
there. And so I guess I say all that, Rick, to say I feel like I have an obligation, which is why I'm here.
Hmm.
And something you just said when you mentioned the mom telling her story, it's not just us who come out,
Hmm.
our parents come out.
Yes.
Our siblings come out,
Yep.
right? And how do we make sure they have the support mechanism as they're going through that
Hmm.
journey? I think that's a critical component of the ecosystem of our own health and well-being is making sure that the resources are there to help the rest of the family, your colleagues, your friends,
Yeah.
to ultimately join you in that journey and
Yeah.
see how just fabulous you really are.
Well, they're being called to it, and I know you've heard this numerous times, being the leader of PFLAG, that one of the things I hear most in PFLAG meetings is I just I just need to catch up because when my child came out, I went into the closet, and now I need to
Mhm.
understand how to come out of the closet myself. I was working with a private client currently, and he's very much struggling with this. I'm not going into detail for privacy, but he's struggling with this because he really wants to talk to his mom, but he's like, and he's midlife. He's like midlife going through this, and I shared the P flag stuff with him. I said, "Here's the thing. Yes, your mom's going to go back into the closet, and she may go into the closet and never talk about it, and that's okay. But the joy and the fulfillment you're going to feel by at least having shared with her, and it may not turn out right, let's just say that, is going to help give you the hope and the drive to move forward. But always know this: they'll figure it out. They'll figure out their way to come forward."
You're exactly right. I mean, it's funny. My father, as I mentioned to you previously, had passed a few months ago. We never really talked about it once after the
Mm-hmm.
conversation. When he would ask me how's my problem? I didn't know if he was talking about my ex-husband or my sobriety or what. It's like I had to do cues of figuring out where he was going with that.
Right.
But look, people get on a journey and they'll find a rhythm, hopefully, right? I mean,
Hopefully.
it will not always be the case, and that's the reality. That's why there's so much investment made in chosen family,
Hmm.
right? It's extremely important, and taking care of ourselves, and finding that support mechanism, whatever that may be. The hope is that the family is able to go on that journey with you ultimately and or find some peace. It's not always going to happen, but I see if people are willing to put in the work, if if that love is there,
Right.
ultimately most people, many people get to a good space, and
Hmm.
it's worth the work.
Well, it's not only worth the work, but it's also worth giving people the space.
Correct.
It was so my husband and I we'll be together 24 years this September. So just right around the corner. Well, it will have happened because we're recording this in August. But I remember the very first time we went to Colorado, which is where my grandfather lived, and we were going to Aspen Gay Ski Week. And
Mhm.
this was not long after he and I had been together. And we were still in a contentious place as a family unit, like trying to figure things out. And we were starting to smooth out of it. And, he knew about my husband, but my parents were the contention factor. They were like, don't bring it up a lot with grandpa. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about him like you would talk about me being married to my ex-wife. And so we go to Colorado. We flew in, decided to go see him first before we went to Aspen Ski Week. Walked into his house. First time he met him, right? And he's an old farmer, Seventh day Adventist guy. He's the salt of the earth. I'm going to say that. So let me preface it with that. Not once did he flinch. Not once did he make my husband feel uncomfortable. From that day forward, every time we talked on the phone, because I was really close to my grandfather, I talked to him a couple of times a week. He always said, "How are you boys doing? How are you boys doing?" He never once threw the judgment. I don't know how he felt about it, but the one thing I know, he saw me as a human, and he saw me as somebody who deserved to be happy, and he could have his beliefs. I still believe he accepted me for who I was. And I think this is part of what PFLAG does such a really good job of. But I think there's this interesting thing because Gene started this. There's probably this still firm foundation that there's so many mothers probably that are the founding piece of PFLAG. Is that a pretty fair assessment?
I think that's fair. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like the mama bears. You can't, if you know the mama bears folks, you know exactly that they're all about mamas taking care of stuff. But I still feel like when I would look at the PFLAG groups that I was participating in, years ago, um, there was this mothering. We're the nurturer. We're the ones who are going to keep this thing going. Not to say that the dads weren't, but a lot of times I know the moms are pulling the dads into this. Like, you need to come. This is how you're going to get used to this. You're going to have, and I think that's a testament to Gene's work. You know.
So I was in a chapter in the South, small chapter, and this mm, husband and wife came in, and the guy was, I would say what you would think of as stereotypical biker, long hair, had kind of like, I would have put him in a movie as a biker any day.
Yep. Yep.
And his wife, um, just definitely country folks. And I thought I was waiting to hear her say something. And he finally, close to the end of the meeting, said, and excuse anybody if this offends, it's not meant to, because PFLAG meetings are a safe space where people are able to say
Say what they
their
need to
inner
say.
thoughts and know they will be not judged.
Mm-hmm.
But this really tough dad just looked up and said, my kid is a sissy, but I love him and I don't want him hurt in school
Mm-hmm.
and I want him to be happy. How do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
I was speechless. that's that's I was just speechless, Rick. And first of all, for me to have judged
Yep.
without allowing this person to have the space, as you mentioned, to articulate where they are. First of all, they wouldn't. I should, wouldn't necessarily go to a meeting. Go in there with strangers. Again, coming
Mhm.
out, saying, "I have a queer kid somewhere in my universe."
Yeah.
You know, that there, that's the special sauce
Yeah.
of giving those individuals that ability to articulate
Mhm.
where they are and know that they're not alone in the journey and that others have done it, and that they can too. Again, it doesn't work that way for everyone,
No.
but I see it every day
Yeah.
out there.
Well, and I also feel like, and I haven't, I mean, true confessions here. I haven't been to a PFLAG meeting in years because we moved out of Southern California. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, I don't know if there's any chapters around where I live, but there probably is. But I have referred a lot of people who are in our world, in the gay community, lesbian community, especially gay men in this space, who, because most of my clients are coming out midlife.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are coming out and they already have children. But then there's the flip side that many of them are coming out, they found their first partner and they didn't have children, and they're starting to come into blended families, or they're guys in midlife that have been out for years. They and their partner are starting to embark on the parenting thing. And they're like, this is really hard. Now, we have some beautiful organizations. I mean, we have Gays with Kids and some of those out there. But some of them, like, I don't know, I'm really concerned about, my kids and them being accepted. And I have told them numerous times, I'm like, maybe you need to go to a PFLAG meeting because you're brand new parents or you're
Yeah.
in this parental thing. And guess what? The people who show up, they're parents. So you're going to have an affinity. You just happen to be a gay parent or a lesbian parent. But guess what? Some of the stuff you're feeling, I mean, I had a conversation with somebody not long ago where their child had just come out to them and were like, I don't know what to do because, oh my gosh, everybody's going to say, see what happened because you're gay. I said, I really encourage you to go to a PFLAG meeting
So
because you got parents who are, it's not just parents, but there's a lot of people who show up like, I'm dealing with the same thing. So many parents that come to PFLAG, and I know you've heard this over and over. What did I do wrong?
yeah.
What did I do wrong? Nothing. And I
So
think this is the beauty of your community.
I would, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Rick.
No,
I
no.
get excited about this, that there is a place for everybody at a PFLAG meeting. And let me just kind of lay this out. Yes, it is. There are tons of parents that go to PFLAG meetings. There are LGBTQ plus members that go to PFLAG meetings and actually help the parents, right? Like to know where they are in the journey. So I would encourage anyone who is having any version of needing support or to kick
Yep.
the tires or whatever that may be, to just go to pflag.org, find a chapter. I'm sure there's one close. If not, we do tons of virtual meetings.
Yep.
We started one specifically, a virtual meeting specifically for dads, and one for grandparents, and both of
Awesome.
those are booming.
I'm sure they are.
And it's both dads, cis dads, it's
Right.
gay dads, it's across the board. So it's nobody has to. The hardest step, look, I'm also 18 years in recovery. The first step is just being okay to go in and just
Yep.
let go,
Mhm.
right? Nobody's there to judge. Nobody is there to single individual out. I was actually in California. I was at a API specific focus
Mhm.
chapter meeting, and and I'll never forget this. This is close to when I first started. This, I believe, Korean mom came into the meeting, had never been to the meeting before, and broken English, hadn't been here long, and basically wasn't saying anything, but then ultimately said, I have a trans kid and I don't know what to do. And it was partially in English, partially not. Within 2 minutes, there were three Korean speaking moms right there,
Yep.
right there to support. Now, that's very retail and doesn't
Yes.
happen necessarily,
Right.
but we have virtual meetings for that too. So,
Mhm.
but I would say, especially because of the demographics that you just mentioned, there's a space there a affirming space
Mhm.
for at least to kick the tires
Yeah.
and see if it helps.
Well, and PFLAG is, I mean, I remember when, PFLAG went through kind of the kind of quote rebirth and not really the renaming, but kind of the rebranding, like,
Yep.
and made it this more inclusive space. And as I was writing them, that's when I was very active. I was speaking in LA, I was on the speaker bureaus and all that sort of stuff. And I just happened, so I think I don't know if that particular chapter was in Southern California. It kind of sounds like the Asian Pacific one that I remember. But I happened to go to a meeting and they talked about that one. So then the next time I was in LA speaking, it just happened to be Burbank area. I'm like, hey, I could show up for this PFLAG thing. And it was so affirming to be there because number one, a woman came up to me and said, I know who you are. I'm like, really? I was like, okay. I mean, and I was like, okay, I was starting to get kind of known out in our world. And she goes, no, I think you're Mr. Rick, right? So, the when somebody from the Asian culture calls me Mr. Rick, it kind of warms my heart, right? And she goes, my child talked about you. I'm like, oh. And she goes, yes, my child goes to Cal State Long Beach. And it was such a beautiful moment because it was like, wow, these are where that intersectionalities happen. She goes, I'm so proud of her, which was a him. I was like, wow, she's made, because and as she's telling the story, things are starting to unfold in my mind because I remember all this. And she goes, I was very concerned because of the substance abuse that was happening with my child, that I wasn't going to be able to help her. And I'm so glad that PFLAG became part of the helping thing. So again, this is an interesting twist. She was more concerned about the substance abuse than the actual being transgender. And I think too often there's so many guys that are in midlife. I'm just going to kind of go here that they're like, I don't want to go to a center. I'm too old to go to a center and hang out and talk about these things, which I'm like, okay, if it's a group for 40 plus gay men, I think you could feel very comfortable. But I've had more guys that I've talked to that have like, I found solace in just showing up at a PFLAG meeting. I know it doesn't seem like that's where I should show up, but some have had really good experiences. Some have become leaders in those spaces. Some of them have met people that they're dating. I just think this is a community that oftentimes gets kind of this, oh, this is only for, the parents who are really struggling. It is so much more. And I wanted to make sure that was really clear for the guys that are listening to this podcast.
So we did I spoke at, but we also did a training this year, a couple months ago at the Japanese American Citizens League conference. And one of the parents came up to me afterwards, and I didn't go to the training because I was doing something else. Anyway, I said, how did the training go with my team? And the first thing out of her mouth was, mostly dads showed up.
Wow.
Which was great.
That is awesome.
Right? Because especially culturally, that is, like it just, but it was for so many reasons. The fact that literally out of her mouth, first thing out of her mouth was, and her excitement too, mostly dads showed up for this training. And I want to say something that I think we all, especially those of us who are out,
Yeah.
You never know whose life you're impacting or saving. And I think that's a really important power, like whether it be telling somebody they're going to be okay, and or being honest, you are going to have some trials and tribulations. You can get through this.
Yes.
Love is stronger than hate. Whatever your message may be, but you never know who you're impacting and where. And then, but being as part of that, being able to know where to send folks, right?
Yes.
To get that additional help, because you
are
saving lives.
People, I don't know, sometimes it's almost like with Google and ChatGPT and everything that's available, like I don't know where to find a resource. I of course I want to slap them upside the head. I'm like, really? Then you're not trying too hard. You're not trying very hard. But again, sometimes we just don't think about, well, where are these other spaces that I haven't yet explored? And so I'm so glad you brought up, first of all, pflag.org. You can find chapters. You can figure out how to work with them. You can figure out how to donate to PFLAG. all of these things. I know we're all getting bombarded from, lots of different places to do lots of different things. But when I start to look at what's happening for us in our world, number one, and I'm going to kind of lean into us as gay older men, those of us that are being considered gay elders and stuff right now. To me, some of the best things you can do is bring your gay elder knowledge or your gay older wisdom at 40 plus into these spaces. To your point that you just said, you never know what you're going to say that's actually going to help somebody. And I encourage anybody that's listening to, think about becoming part of the PFLAG groups. I loved it. I think, Brian, I was part of the PFLAG Orange County Speakers Bureau for at least 3 years, maybe 4.
Nice.
And I just, there's a times I did it at a sacrifice to my own business, but I'm like, I loved getting to go speak to those students. And some places were challenging. There was a couple of times we went to some churches who were definitely like, nope, nope, nope. And we weren't there to say you're wrong. We were there to say, let me give you another perspective. Let me just share with you. Let us see our stories, And I think the more that we do this as gay men, and we start to realize, yes, we've got our own stuff, HIV, substance abuse, broken marriages, broken relationships, obesity, whatever goes on with all of us that, as we go through life. Man, there's nothing like being able to share of ourselves and really give back.
When I was growing up, obviously, based on my first story, I knew deep down who I was,
Yes.
but I had no role models, positive role models. And I happened to be in St. Louis. I was working for one of the most conservative Democratic congressman at the time in the state of Missouri. And it's now all Republican almost, except for 2. But sorry, not partisan here, but
no, I get it.
I was in St. Louis and I was just out of college and I went into a gay bookstore. And I saw this book. I don't know why, because I didn't really have Google then, right?
Right.
And I saw this book called "It's the Best Little Boy in the World" by Andy Tobias. Now, Andy is a dear friend of mine now, but I bought that book. Of course, it came in a brown bag. I went out to my car. I opened the trunk and undid the spare tire, put the book under the spare tire for my drive back to Jefferson City, 2.5 hours away. In case I was in a wreck, I wasn't worried about the wreck. I was worried about if I was in a wreck and this book fell out somewhere. Yes. Yeah. I read that book in 2 nights and then burnt it in the fireplace so that nobody would find it. Wow. That was my version of a role model. Fast forward, I ran the Victory Fund, which helps elect LGBTQ plus candidates years later. And we got a contribution from Andy. And so I wrote this note to Andy, saying, Andy, you don't know me, but thank you. You helped save my life. Appreciate your support for the Victory Fund. About a week later, I get this phone call from this guy I didn't know. He's like, Brian, it's Andy Tobias. What do you mean I saved your life? What are you talking about? And so I had to tell him the story. And his first response was, well, you burnt the book? I said, yeah. Oh, good. You didn't give it away like other people do to other people. Now somebody else has got to buy a book. He was joking with me, laughing, right. But it was just, that book was my, seeing it in print, right? That's all back then I could get.
Right.
And to this day, I will always, but it's the story that impacts me the most, the fact that I hid it. I burnt it. That's where we were. And I know there are still people that are struggling with their journey, especially in rural places, in communities of color. It's still, the power of the church and the fear of the unknown are overwhelming with everything else that's going on right now. But there's such potential for joy.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing where there is the potential for joy. And I kind of want to bring us full circle, because I feel like the story about your dad's funeral is really a testament to the pure joy of showing up, being who you are, and what happened there.
So I'll try to make it short because I'm
That's
from the
okay.
country, so I can tell a long story. Long story short, my dad was the ultimate of dudes. Former Marine, all-state basketball, track, football, da 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 da. He was a champion bird hunter, all these kind of things. So had his funeral. The guys there weren't really happy just because they didn't get to tell shit about dad and tell
Hmm.
stories and laugh. So the gay Democrat here, is how I looked at it. Fast forward, planned a retreat. So I flew home. We held a tribute to Dad at a hunting lodge with a bunch of bird hunters.
Hmm.
And what I found, and I just kept chuckling to myself, oh my God, I'm like the gay Democrat. Now, truth be known, they probably have more issues with me being a Democrat than being gay, but that's
Hmm.
another story. Uh, uh, because we're deep in the heart of MAGA country.
Yep.
Uh, but what I found the most interesting of the whole experience, and this is why personal relationships matter and that work is so important. I was treated with nothing but respect because I was Skip's son. And now we didn't talk politics, we didn't talk queer stuff, we didn't talk any of that, but we talked about humanity and we laughed. And they saw me for who I am, who I believe I am.
Yeah.
And we all have that. We all have those experiences. I think that we have to do. They can end
Yes.
good or they can end bad, right? Depending on
Hmm.
what the situation. But there's a power there that and I say that as we're talking about National Coming Out Day. There is a power of being our authentic selves, but also figuring out what are those special sauces that connect us as human beings.
Yep.
In that situation, it was my dad and the fact that I can talk bird dogs.
But I think the beauty of what you just shared is that we're all human beings.
Correct.
So I haven't told this story in a while, so I'm going to go there and then we'll wrap it up. But I had been speaking on PFLAG panels for a couple of years, and I got an opportunity to go back to a college and speak for a gender studies week. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Most of these kids have seen me talking their sexuality, gender studies. They've heard my story, da 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 da. I'm freaking out, but I'm also starting my speaking career. I'm like, okay, I used to speak all the time in my past life. So let's go there. But this is new. This is like I've been putting it on the line. And I talked to the professor who was bringing me in and hired me. I'm like, and she goes, just be you, Rick. Just go do what you do. I got on stage, and again, this is where the experience of having been on PFLAG panels and starting to like not just answer the questions, like trying to bring life lessons into it, it came to life that night. I'm telling my story and all this sort of stuff, and I thought, I've got to make this relate. And I literally said, I'm going to have all of you, and there was like 500 students in this auditorium. So I want all of you to do something for me. I want you to close your eyes. Please don't fall asleep or don't start dreaming about being a beer bust or something else. Like just hang with me here. We're almost done. So close your eyes, and I want you to answer some questions. And I had never, this was not rehearsed or anything. This was literally off the cuff. I said, I want you to raise your hand if you're in this room to get a grade for a class. Well, of course, right? I said, now with those eyes closed, keep those hands up. If you're going to get a grade for this class that helps you fulfill your degree requirements, keep your hand up. So, of course, most all of them stayed up. The last question was the critical one. If you're getting a grade for a class to fulfill your degree requirements at this university because somebody else told you this is what you're supposed to do with your life, please keep your hand up. Now, quite a few hands started to go down, but the majority of them stayed up. I said, okay, with those hands up, I want everybody to open your eyes and look around the room. Those of you who still have your hands up are in the closet and are actually going through your own coming out journey about wanting to be somebody you want to be and still living by everybody else's expectations. Welcome to coming out of the closet. This is when humanity meets reality. I was with those students after the talk for probably 2 hours after that talk, because there were so many students that said, how could I do this? I really want to be doing this career. I want to be going this path. I don't really feel like I belong here. I want to come out. Okay. That typically would happen, but it was such a beautiful thing, Brian, to feel that here's the intersectionality. And I've since taken that whole thing and I've turned it into something that I do that talk in business circles. I found a way to bring the coming out experience into talking about how do you do business. If you're hiding your best talent from the world, if you are not allowing people to be fully who they are in your workplace, you are keeping your people in the closet. And what's happening to your business is because you're not allowing them to be fully out. And it has nothing to do with sexuality. So I just want you to hear that from me, that because of the roots I have, this has been such a cool journey for me to get to talk to somebody. I mean, I've talked to some other people who are in PFLAG, but to be able to share that and to say, folks, this is where you can get so much more from PFLAG than just the little kind of support you think what it is. And I'm so happy you continue to do the work. And I hope, even though we're future playing this one, I hope the convention is going well on the day that it started today and tomorrow. And everybody, happy National Coming Out Day, whatever that means. If you find someone who's struggling, lend them an ear, even if it's something online. You know, maybe you see somebody who's like, I just wish I could say something to my family. One little help from somebody who's been through it, just like, I hear you, I feel you. If I can help you, let it be known. So anything else that you want to add to this before we wrap everything up, and Brian?
Well, again, first of all, thank you for having me. And I got to get you on our board. You know, I think, you know, these are really, I just close with, these are really challenging times. Mm-hmm. But we've been through this before in different fights, different struggles.
Of course.
You know, I mean, like, as somebody who's HIV positive, you know, you know, the number of just incredible, amazing souls lost, you know, and we've come out the other end of it with scars, but we've come through it. Give yourselves grace, give others grace, you know, meet people where they are in your journey and meet yourself where you are. And give yourself grace on that. You know, even though it's National Coming Out Day, you got to be yourself, be your authentic self, and be comfortable with it. You know, you don't have to be that superstar on day one. Yeah. It's a journey. PFLAG is there for you if you need it. I encourage you all, if you do, to go to our website, find a chapter, do a virtual meeting, whatever it may be.
Or even learn how to start a chapter. I mean, literally,
I would
learn
love
how
that.
to start a chapter.
I would love that.
Amazing.
And I appreciate you raising, you know, give funds if they'd love it.
Yes.
Obviously, we need money. The corporate world, as you know, is kind of run, and we're struggling. But we were here 50 years. We will be here another 50 years.
Exactly.
We will be here for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Brian, so much. And I hope everybody takes something away from this. It is a safe space for you to go and be who you are, even as a 40-plus gay man. If you're struggling with something, you can find community. Might even find the man of your dreams there. A few people have done that. And again, thanks so much for being here, Brian. I totally appreciate you. And guys, keep going out there, being who you are. No fears, no excuses, no apologies as gay man. I want you to just have a thriving life. And we will be back in another week with another episode of 40-plus Gay Men Gay Talk.
That's a wrap for 40-plus Gay Men Gay Talk, where size doesn't matter. We drop our bullshit, get over our screwed up fears, make bold moves, and live life without apologies. Don't forget to join us on Facebook at 40-plus Gay Men Gay Talk, where the conversations continue.